welcome back to another episode. Something a little bit different today, a bit of fun. While we're doing our lap of Australia, we thought we'd stop in and show you guys the behind the scenes of some of the epic brands we work with. So brand new series, it's called Behind the Brand. We're going to take you guys inside of some of the biggest companies in Australia in the full drive industry, show you guys how much of their product is still manufactured here in Australia, show you the full manufacturing process from woe to go. So at the moment we're on our trip, we've stopped in at Sydney, so we've come down here to see the team at GME. Obviously I've been running all their product on my car and also in the boat. So we're going to go inside here, we're going to catch up with Tony, we're going to find out everything we need to know about the GME products. I think you guys will be a little bit surprised with just how big their product range is. When I was building the boat, I couldn't believe the amount of marine products they actually do. So enough of me dribbling, let's get inside and have a look. Boss, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Not too bad. All right, so we're here with Tony. What's your role, mate, for GME?
So I'm the Group Marketing Manager here at GME. Been with the company for about 5 years.
Righto, so we're going to get a little hot tour. But first off, you've got a bit of a showroom here, so I think we'll get straight stuck into that and just show everyone a little bit about, you know, all the different product ranges that you guys do. Alright, so we're going to kick it straight off with the product that pretty much most of you guys will be familiar with. That one's not a magnet mount.
No, it's not.
I was trying to get it off. Alright, so obviously the thing you associate GME with straight off the bat, or I do at least anyway, is your Uhf unit. So the XRS unit is your latest sort of vehicle model for all your full drives and bits and pieces. This is the one that I'm running in all of my cars. We've got it in the camera car, the 76 and the 79. So look, most people should be familiar, but while we got the little app set up here, mate, let's run through this real quick, because this is a feature that only you guys have with your UHFs. So why don't you tell us how the main feature of this app that runs off the XRS?
Yeah, no worries. So what we've got in the XRS is what's called location services. So pairing with a smart device, a tablet, a phone, anything with a GPS receiver in it, you can pair with your radio via Bluetooth. The device will provide GPS coordinates to your radio, and every time you PTT, anyone within range on the same channel who's got an XRS and has the app connected will be able to see the location that you're transmitting from, and vice versa. So
a little bit of quick real world, where would we use this? So if I'm sitting at camp, I've had 100 beers and you... and
a responsible amount of beers.
Correct, and you're coming in late to camp, and I'm trying to explain, turn left to this tree right after the donkey. I basically, you get on, go, oi, Matt, where are ya? And I just go, mate, I'm down here, and as soon as I push that button, they can open up their app and they will be able to see my exact location.
100%.
Pretty bloody cool. Alright, so pretty impressive so far. I'm only come down the corridor.
Very good.
But mate, it is flashing here. So obviously you've got a heap of machines in behind us. We're going to go and have a look what's going on in this room.
So it's what we call SMT. So it stands for Surface Mount Technology. Basically, it's where we make all of our circuit boards. So we make around 80% of our products right here in Australia. And that starts right at printed circuit board level. So a lot of companies will assemble product locally. We build it really from the ground up. Yeah,
I guess when you're ever talking anything electronics to do with I'm not a techie, just so we get that straight. But like, as soon as you see motherboards and all those little bits and pieces, you kind of just assume a lot of that comes from overseas.
That's right.
That's my assumption anyway. But
yeah, well, and in a lot of cases it is, but we like to do it all here locally. We've got great quality controls in place. And also, if there's anything that needs to be changed, we find any bugs or anything that needs to be fixed, it means that we can jump in here and change it. We don't have to wait for that that lag for doing it overseas.
All right, let's go and have a look. All right, so it's full swing in here at the moment. So many of you guys building full drives at the moment. The boys have got a double shift running. So it's all just swapping over at the moment, but run us through it. This is kind of where it starts, right?
Yeah, so what you got there is actually our PLBs. So what we call our MT410. Now there's 4 boards on this one. This is a blank board, and this is the very start of the production process. So the blank board goes into the machine, and why we call it SMT is it's surface mount. So we're literally picking up components and putting them on the surface of the board. So it'll run through the machine, all the small components get placed on the board, and then it goes into the main production area where the larger components that can't be picked up by these machines get hand soldered onto the boards.
Sick. Alright, we'll run you through, we'll show you this machine because it's all happening at the moment. Right, so we have that stack over there that we were looking at before. Basically this machine sucks them in sort of one at a time, so you can see those 4 boards. And it gets chucked into here where little Mr. Robot jumps around and picks everything up. That's the technical term for it apparently. And this is basically what they're picking up, eh?
Yeah, spot on. So each one of these is called a reel, and each reel has different components on it.
Yep.
So the machine knows what it's meant to be building. It'll pick up all the components, place them exactly where it's meant to go on the board.
Yep.
And as it's going, it's checking all the tolerances, making sure they're all in the right spot.
Yep.
And then before it leaves this room, it gets that check to make sure that everything's gone in the right place and it's going to perform the way it's meant to.
So we're at the end of the sort of this first stage, a little production line. This is the blank board that we started with at the very beginning. And this is what comes out. About 15 minutes later, it's done all of the smaller, what do we call them? Top components, surface mounted components, in about 15 minutes. And there is literally hundreds on each board. So a couple of thousand components across the 4 boards in about 15 minutes. Pretty epic.
Yep.
It would take, by hand, a long time to try and nut one of these out. So
yeah, much bigger margin for error too.
Yeah, yeah, epic stuff. Okay, so we've moved from one sort of area over into the next stage of manufacturing. This is basically all the components that are too large for the robot to pick up, and here they get manually put on by hand and everything gets soldered on. So this is more just some of the bigger components, right?
Yeah, that's right. So the machine over there, as you said, the robot, it's got a limit in terms of the size of the component that it can pick up.
Yep.
So we top load some of those components in here by hand.
Yeah, awesome. So they get tested before they leave that room. They come over here, all the bigger components get put on and they get tested again before they leave here.
100%, yeah. So most of our products get tested at least 3 times before they leave the factory.
Perfect. All right, so we won't annoy too many people here. I think most of them are trying to knock off at the moment. So what's the next stage after here?
So what we can show you is we've got microphones getting built over the other side, and then our final test and packing areas, and then it's out to the warehouse and out to a customer.
Sick. Let's go have a look. All right, so we're sort of jumping all over different products at the moment because everything's in different stages of manufacturing, but you can have a pretty good guess what these are. This is obviously the handpiece for the XRS unit. So you've got the, I don't know, one component here.
Yeah, one of the main parts of the chassis.
And you got the full motherboard. That's basically what also comes out of those machines over there. So this is the assembly line, and basically I think by the time we get to this end of this line, we'll have a full handpiece.
Yeah, full XRS mic ready to go.
Sick. Now this is the part that sort of interests me the most. They say they get tested and I wasn't really sure to what extent they get tested, but there's literally a bloke sitting here right now and you can see on his screen he's got a full checklist that he has to run through absolutely everything. Every single hand unit gets individually plugged in, and every scenario basically gets tested, every button, make sure every button works.
That's right, yeah. Checking the screen, checking sure all the functions work, making sure everything's the way it's designed to be before we put it in a box, and away it goes.
So chances are, if you open up an XRS unit, there is just about a 0% chance that it's not going to work. And he said a few people ring up and they go, oh mate, it doesn't work, and about 98% of the time, they're just wiring them up wrong, negative to positive, and
and pop she goes.
Blowing the fuse in them.
Yep. So
very cool. This is super impressive to see, to be honest. I didn't quite know exactly how much they tested and how it is, but it's cool to see it in the flesh. We've seen him do about 2 now. It's not the fastest process in the world, and obviously that's probably a big difference between Australian made, quality tested, as opposed to some of the offshore.
That's it, mate. Quality takes time.
Spot on. All right, so we've basically run through most of the manufacturing process. All the finished components get put over here in different boxes with all the cardboard cutouts, and then literally old mate behind us here is whacking them together. Finished product.
That's it, mate. Ready to go.
Done and dusted, coming straight out to your door. Very cool to see. Now look, we've only sort of shown off some of the XRS units because that's mostly what you guys are probably purchasing, sitting at home, but I've also walked around and seen all the marine gear getting made as well, all your PLBs, all your EPIRBs, it's cool to see. We were just talking about it then. There's a lot of people that claim to be Australian made, and a lot of people probably sneak the sticker on some things as well, like touch and go within the industry. But when you come here and you see from ground up, absolutely everything is done in-house, mate, very impressive. So if you are chasing a UHF unit and you are a bit of a true blue Aussie, make sure you have a look for the Australian logo. Jump online, have a look at the GME gear, because it is made correct and in Australia, tested to Australian standards. Very cool, mate.
Awesome.
What else we got to go have a look at? Probably the aerials.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at the antenna facility.
Yep.
They got a bit going on at the moment there, a few four-wheel drive antennas going through, so we'll go get in their way now.
Oh, let's go have a quick look. Alright, well I hope whoever buys an aerial doesn't get this one. I'll put my grubby hands all over. But run us through the sort of point of difference, because you are the only guys that run this system, like really in the UHF full drive industry.
Yeah, so what you're looking at here is actually a PCB style antenna.
Right.
So rather than like a conventional hand wound piece of wire,
yep.
which is somewhat hard to replicate time in, time out, and
yep.
also has a little bit more chance of failing, especially on corrugated roads if you're really giving it a beating out in the bush.
Yeah.
PCB antenna, there's less moving parts, super repeatable,
yep.
and really good performance.
Because we just went and had a look at the other style where you do have to hand wrap them for what's that, like a completely different type of aerial.
Yeah, they're for the older style, for the 27 meg antennas,
yep.
so for AMCB as opposed to UHF.
So we just had a look at that process, and you can see how obviously it is very man labour intensive,
yeah.
and repeatability would be, if it was a Friday, you might not get the best aerial. But,
in another factory, not this one.
Yeah. But no, it's cool to see, and it's all these little small differences that I'm learning sort of as we go through here. That look, I've used multiple different aerials over the years, and as soon as you pick up a GME handheld unit, you're like, all right, well, this feels different straight off the bat. It's got the weight that none of the other units really seem to have in them. It's got the nice LED screen, and then the clarity. Jump in any other mate's four-wheel drives and compare it to your own UHF, but the clarity you get through a GME product is just, once you used it, you're not going anywhere else.
Good to hear.
All right, well look, I think that just about wraps up basically all the factory tours, so we might find a spot and get out of here. We're annoying everyone, and we might just go run through a couple of quick questions people sent in.
Perfect.
Happy days. All right, so we've just snuck into one of the offices here. We'll run through some of the questions. So when we do these videos, I'll put it up on social media. That way you guys can ask any of the questions that you want answered, because 9 times out of 10, there's always something I forget. So Sam.Jones17 says, what type of durability testing do you guys do?
It's a good question, and we do heaps. So we do all our real world testing, of course. So
yep.
before we bring anything to market, we go and we abuse it in the bush. We give it to people like yourself, and,
yep.
and get it to really go through its paces. But before we even get to that stage, we've got what we call our environmental test facility here.
Yep.
So we can do accelerated testing in-house. We've got salt fog machines, ingress machines that shoot water at products. We've got antenna whipping machines, vibration tables,
yep.
UV testers, you name it. So we can simulate years of exposure in a short period of time, which means we can bring products to market faster, and we know that they're going to last. So we stand behind the warranty because we know we've tested it before we release into the market.
So how's that for a job? You sit there and watch an aerial get whipped back all day.
Yeah, until it lets go.
It lets go. So I guess that's the only way you're really going to find out the durability of everything.
Yeah, so things like antennas, we do destructive testing on them. So we will
yep.
push them to the limit and then pass the limit to see what sort of abuse that they can endure. Because, anyone who's driven corrugations would know how hard it is on the vehicle. It'll shake the hell out of everything. So we've got to make sure that the antennas are going to stand up to it.
Yeah, that's epic. And that's probably the sort of testing that you're just not going to get with a lot of offshore products.
No.
They're packaging them up and they're sending them over. They don't understand the Australian conditions, the climate, the UV ratings that they're actually going to get put through out here. And then none of them understand corrugations. Australian corrugations are just...
Until you've done it, you don't understand, right?
Mate, I start talking about it, I feel like I'm shaking. Carissa_13, does painting your aerials affect the range or interfere with the output?
Depends what you paint it with.
Yeah, right.
So look, things like acrylic and 2-pack, no worries. If you start wrapping them with certain types of wrap, you can affect the performance of the antenna.
Like a vinyl car wrap thing.
Vinyl's not too bad, but you've got to think anything with carbon in it will affect the performance of the RF. So,
yeah.
But you know, your acrylic, your 2-pack, if you want to paint it bright green, go for it.
Sweet. So you can literally just grab a paint can and hit it with a. It's probably not recommended, but.
Might not last very long in terms of the paint finish, but if that's what you want to do, then go nuts.
Yeah, all right. That's interesting. Actually, good question. T_Troy, any handhelds coming up with repeat function?
I think what that's about is around voice playback. So on the XRS at the moment, if you miss a call, you can program a button, press it, and then you'll play back the call you've missed.
Yeah.
At the moment, we don't have that in any handhelds at the moment.
Yeah.
It's about as much as I can say.
That's a cool function, actually. I probably, is that something that's on the XRS, or you got to program that in?
It's on the XRS, but in order to play it back, you got to go through the menu.
Yeah.
But what you can do, because it's got programmable buttons, you can program one of the buttons to be a playback button.
Yeah.
And then just hit that button, and it'll go back into the playback menu.
That's pretty cool, actually, because the amount of times you're driving along, you're trying to have a conversation, and the missus is yapping in your ear, and you go, "What was that?"
Stereo's up, you're on the phone, whatever it is.
Yeah,
and,
truck goes past, train goes past.
That's it. And if you want to know how to use it, you got an XRS. We've got a really simple video on our YouTube channel, on the GME YouTube.
Yep.
Jump on there and we'll show you how to run it through.
Perfect. Going 4x4 or going ET 4x4D, can I run my 6 dBi and a 2 dBi with a switch over my XRS system?
We get asked this one all the time. So technically, yes, you can.
Okay.
There are antenna switches on the market. You can run 2 antennas in. It's a splitter, and then 1 connection into the back of the radio. What you got to keep in mind though is every time you add a connector into your system, you're going to experience loss. And those antenna switches that are available, we don't sell them ourselves, but the ones that are available, you're going to lose about 1 dB of gain by introducing that. So any benefit that you're going to get by having the 2 antennas on a switch, you're going to lose a lot of that benefit by having the switch in the system. So the better way to run it is to have interchangeable whips. So the antennas that you run on your vehicle, unscrew the whip, screw the 2.1 dB, and away you go. Which
is literally exactly what I do. I've got the 2.1 under the back seat, and I just pull it out and screw it on. We get into that real hilly, high country type situation.
That's right.
Okay, we got another one here from Michael Carroll, 96. XRS was a huge step up from the rest of the market. What's next for the GME exciting releases? That's a good question.
It is a good question. I'm not going to answer it. Wait and see.
So there's some more stuff in the pipeline, obviously?
Always, yeah. You know, we're really happy with XRS, but we're not going to stop there. And the beauty of XRS is obviously that it's firmware updatable. So we've got new features that, you know, are in the pipeline that we'll be able to add. And there's some really cool stuff coming around location awareness. That's probably about as much as I'm prepared to say at the moment.
Awesome. And that is definitely a big advantage of the fact that when you do have updates, are they going to be available where they can just update their software and you've got it, you don't have to replace the whole unit?
That's right. So you just need to download the app. And once you've got the app, we can push new firmware out. It'll notify you. You download the new firmware to your phone, write it to your radio. You do it in the car park, do it in your driveway. You don't have to, you know, pull the radio out of the car and send it back to us.
Epic. Mr. Lukey, 101, when did GME start?
1959.
Yeah, right.
So the founder of our company, Ted Dunn, started in 1959. He was repairing TV tuners, and it's turned into this. So I don't know if he knew where it was going to end up, but his family still owns the business, mate. Still 100% owned here in Australia.
Still family-owned business?
100%.
Yep. Yeah, right. That's pretty impressive. What's that, 40, 50 odd years?
62 years, mate.
My math's pretty good, eh? Unreal. All right, so still family owned. Brand don't _ what makes you better than the competitors? It's a pretty good question.
It is a good question. We're the only ones that build radios in Australia, straight up. So no one else builds UHF CB radios here. There's very few other companies that are making UHF antennas here. And you might think, oh, well, you know, what does that matter? Really what it's about is we understand this country, and particularly in four-wheel drive, we understand how harsh the environment is. So we design products with that in mind. We make sure that they're going to last. And, you know, we take feedback direct from the market. So when we go to trade shows and we talk to customers and they say, wouldn't it be great if it could do this? And you know, with XRS, that's happened. We've had customers come up and say, why don't you have a feature where I can play back a missed call? And we're like, all right, no worries. And we go talk to the engineers and they say, no worries, we can do that. And bang, we push the firmware update and it's done. So, you know, local engineering, local manufacturing, local service if something goes wrong.
Yep.
It's all done here in Sydney, mate.
Epic. Josh_B92, we'll probably wrap it up shortly, but best all-round UHF end aerial. I guess he probably means in the GME range. And
yeah, so XRS is the flagship product range for us. We've got a couple of different variants in there. Fundamentally, the features are the same. They're just sort of different size boxes and slightly different features there. And depending on your application, assuming it's for a four-wheel drive, those 4700 series antennas, so you know, the big black chunky ones with the big spring on them, they're built super tough. They're designed to stand up to abuse.
All right, we got Nick_Rule, range of antennas when, say, mounting on a bull bar to top of roof.
So, another good question and one that we don't answer. So there's so many variables when it comes to RF transmission that anyone that says, this radio and antenna will transmit 21 kilometers, well, it's very hard to back that claim up. Depends on the environmental conditions, dependent on the geographic conditions, depends on all sorts of different things. So look, broadly speaking, if you got a 5-watt UHF and you got a 6 dB antenna, it's not out of the question to get 20, 25 Ks of range out of it without using a repeater.
Yeah, okay. Bloke asked here, is GME Australian owned? And that's something we've covered, but did you want to maybe cover just how much is manufactured in-house?
Yeah, so look, we are 100% Australian owned. We're still owned by the family of the founder of our business.
Yeah.
And we make as much as possible here. When we're designing products, it's always a big question whether we manufacture the product here or overseas. And you know, in my role, I'm always keen for it to be manufactured in Australia. Around 80% of the revenue that we generate at the moment is Australian-made product. Yeah. And that's not going to change. You know, we're committed to manufacturing here.
XRS unit that everyone is putting in their four-wheel drives, that is 100% made in Australia.
Yep.
In the factory, and we've just sort of seen it done there, which is absolutely epic.
Yeah, that's right, mate. And you know, designed here, tested here. The whole thing's done in Australia. And you know, it comes down to quality, right? We want to have the ultimate control over what we're putting out in the market. If it's going to have the GME logo on it, we've got to make sure it stands up to the name.
Epic. All right, well, mate, look, honestly, thanks very much. That was epic to see. I love going through all the different companies and seeing the manufacturing process and really seeing where to go and just the amount of moving parts that go into these things and the fact that everything is done here in-house. Like I was saying, 80% of rev comes from this factory here. Look, guys, if there's any questions that you guys have that we haven't managed to answer, make sure you put them down below. I'll jump on and answer as many as I can. I'll get Tony to answer anything I can't. If you did enjoy this Behind the Brand series, please let me know in the comments. Do you want to see more of these as we cruise around Australia, dropping in, seeing some of the other companies that support us out there on the road? But look, that just about wraps it up. Massive thanks to the GME guys. If you want to check out any of their product range, I'll put a link in the description below. Till next time, make sure you guys get out and enjoy the Explore Life.